Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle-earth here with the video looking in depth at the elite units in the game for Tactics Evolved with the new Season 6 on the horizon. It'll be interesting to see if they decide to keep this elite unit feature in the game, if it was just a one and done type of thing. I'd love to hear in the comments down below if you've liked or enjoyed the elite units, if you want to see them continue in the game or not. At the end of the video, I'm going to give my thoughts on whether or not I think they should continue in the game. But I want to give a breakdown of how these elite units works if you've not played Season 5 yet, or if we end up seeing these again, it'd be good to brush up and make sure you understand how you really get the most out of elite units in the Rise to War. So all of that coming up in just 1 second. Stay tuned. Now, if you've played in Season 5, elite units might be something you're very, very familiar with, and it might not be. If you are in Season 5 and you're watching this and you haven't used elite units that much, or you've not really put a lot of thought into looking at which units, or even maybe considered using units that haven't been particularly good in the past, I would definitely suggest going through and educating yourself a little bit, because there are some units that I think can really punch up with the elite skills. And so the first thing we want to look at is which units can be elite, and it's a pretty clear threshold. It is all tier 3 and above units. If you look here at the elite training grounds, we can see that every single tier 3 unit is here, and tier 4 units. So again, we're playing as Isengard, so we have the Snagathrock, so every faction will have their own faction specific tier 4. And then we have all the neutral units here, again, including tier 4s, Mimikil, Fell Beast, all that good stuff, Eagles. So tier 3 and up are all the units that can become elite. The next thing I want to look at is how many elite skills can you have. And if you've played this might make sense to you. But again, if you're getting ready to go into Tactics Evolved, or you just haven't messed with this very much, it's a little bit confusing until you've actually done it. So there are a different number of skills here. You can see Elite 1, Elite 2, Elite 3. When the videos came out from the devs, it was talked about. There was like, okay, there's like the light armor, then there's the different skill. And it was kind of confusing. The gist of it is you can have either Elite 1 or 2, and you can have one of the Elite 3 skills, which are passive. So again, here on the Sentinels, for example, once these are all unlocked, which we'll cover in a second, we could either have light armor or dispersion or rise up. We could pick one of these 3 skills. And then if we have Elite 3 unlocked, we can have either Elven HP, Elven Resistance, or Disciplined, which are passive abilities. You don't get all of these. You don't get, one of each of these. You get to pick one of Elite 1 and 2 between this group here, and you get to pick one between this group here if you want to push all the way to Elite 3. So that is how many elite skills you can have. Now the fun and expensive part is, how do you actually unlock these things? And if we click train here, these are, just some Elven units I have not taken to Elite yet that have the first level locked. If you click train, we see we have 3 of the elites medals, and then these tomes of awakening specifically for elves here, as well as some gold. So the tier 1 unlock is going to be 3 tomes, or sorry, 3 elite medals, 10 tomes, and 10k gold. From there, the next 2 tiers are just going to require tomes. So if you go here, you can see there's no more elite medals needed, just tomes, but you need 40 this time and 20k gold. And then if we go to the third tier, I'll go to one I've gotten up 2 times right here, the Berserker. The third one you can look at is 50 tomes. So all in all, to max out an elite unit's abilities, it is 100 tomes, it is 60,000 gold, and 3 elite medals. Now, one question I've thought of a lot is whether or not it's worth going to Elite 3 every time. And my answer is, for the most part, no. And now I'd love to hear differently. If you think, Elite 3 is absolutely necessary, I'd love to hear that. I do think on certain units it can be helpful. For example, the Alchemists, you get 10% army attack here, which I think is pretty good on the Alchemists on the Witch King build, doing a lot of damage. That is great. One thing I will say, I would love anybody to chime in here. From what I've been able to see, the army attack buff here does not show up in the battle reports. At least it didn't the last time we looked. So I wasn't 100% sure if you actually can stack. I would assume you can. So I think there are situations where if you're running Alchemists and Berserkers, and let's say even Snagathrock, if you're running a comp like that, and you could get 30% army attack, that would be pretty good. But it'd be something I want to clarify 100% before putting all those elite tomes into that. But again, I got on the Alchemist. I think that's a good one. But there are other ones, for example, like the Guardians or the Dwarves specifically, where they have Army Siege, Dwarven Resistance, which is focus damage reduction, and this Discipline, which is conscription, hiring time, and cost is negative 10%. Now, I think out of this, the focus protection is good, and like late season, if you can get this, great. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I don't think you should use a bunch of the tomes here on Elite 3. I think that'd be better used for other upgrades for other units for the tier 1 and tier 2. So that'd be the short answer for whether or not you should go to tier 3. I think sometimes you can, but it may not always be as useful as you think it's going to be. So just be very careful with your tomes, because they are limited and how many you can get a week. So speaking of tomes, how do you get a bunch of these, monstrous books that are just apparently all over the place, but not really? You need to do a lot of sweeping. So you go to sweep mobs, and whatever race the mob is, they have a chance to drop the tome for their race. Now, I have not found any correlation between, let me go here and show you the mobs that I've done recently. I've not really found a correlation between like level of difficulty. Again, these are some 35 ones I was doing here, and we're just getting one trial record, and 10 of those trial records can be turned into a tome. So that's five. So out of the, again, I did 4 this morning and got none, but the last 5 I did, I got 1. But again, we could go back through and keep seeing. I don't know if there's a clear, is it 5 to 1? I don't know what percent people have seen, but long story short, it seems like they do not drop very often. So you have to do a lot of sweeping, or just, wait for your weekly tasks that you can do in the tavern, which I'll show you here. So in the tavern, as you go in here and go to the training regimen, you can sweep different groupings of mobs, different races of mobs, and get a chunk of these, which can be exchanged then here in the trial exchange. So that's how you do that. So every week you can get a big boost because you can do 10 of these a week, but you can constantly farm those and get the trial records. It's just going to take longer. So I would give 2 tips here if you're really trying to like maximize how this works. Number 1, I would say wait to do any of your trainings here as long as you can. Don't let any expire, but wait until you can get your elite training grounds as high as possible. Here I've got my tips up to the 4-star at level 7 here. So if you're getting close to the next threshold, look here. If your next upgrade is going to give you that, then maybe hold off and upgrade that to get higher stars, because again, starting out they give just 100 for the records, but right now I'm getting 170, so I'm getting almost double. I haven't seen this to 5-star yet. I would guess they're going to be 200. So if I'm guessing correctly, I think it's going to be about double in terms of the amount you get here, which is a pretty significant difference per week that you're able to do. So wait as long as you can on these. The other thing is, I would just say early game, sweeping is going to be absolutely ridiculously necessary, because right now I can sweep. I've got level 35 mobs around here. There are some lower, but for the most part, as you progress through, the mobs are going to get harder, which you do want to happen. Again, like I don't think I've seen nothing below a 35 in the very immediate area. In fact, there might be some that are higher. All 35. So I've got a commander here that can do that. I've got Sauron here because he's a little bit under-leveled. He can do that, but he can only do so much. But it's not like I can go in here and I can send out my low-leveled commanders without having some serious troop loss. So it's like, yeah, Sauron, no problem. He can do that. Well, and it's going to be pushing it. That's 5 levels above him, and then you drop down to Gorbag. It's like absolutely not. So if you got fighters in the field like I have out here, it's hard to do that. So early game, utilize your lower level troops on the lower level mobs when you have them, and just get a crap ton of trial records. And then later on, you might be to the point where you can do more of the tasks. You've got your elite training ground upgraded here. Not this one, the elite training ground, and you'll get a little bit more from the tasks. But I would say early game, sweeping with your low-level commanders is absolutely necessary. And last but not least, I want to go over some of my favorite skills or troops here. This is by no means a top-tier list, although I do think these are good abilities. But I wanted to go over some of the ones that I like and why I like them. So in no particular order, the first one I want to look at is shield training. This is for Guardians and for Guards the Tower. They receive extra damage, and all allies receive less damage. Pretty self-explanatory. Paired together with Guards the Tower and Guardians, that can actually be a very, very good thing. It was kind of broken, and people were running one command of each of them, and it was allowing that to happen for the entire battle. So that's not going to be the case anymore. But even so, if you ran equal stacks, a third of each of those guys and something else, it's still a very good reduced damage on a third troop type. While their damage cancels out. So shield training there is one that I've enjoyed. The next one is going to be Traveling Light. I'm using this in the Corsairs, although it is on a few other units as well. And this is damage received from range, negative 15%, which is not the big deal. The big thing here is you get a 100% chance to evade the first 2 attacks. Now, obviously, if you have pursuit or something like that, this becomes void. But for commanders that don't have that, avoiding the first 2 attacks can be pretty nice. So that 100% chance there at Elite 1, I might add, it's a lower level elite skill, is one that I've really enjoyed, and I think have made my Corsairs and my Witch King build quite a bit better. Another one I've enjoyed, specifically myself on the Reapers, but it is on a few commanders, is Heartseeker. This is each round you have a 50% chance to gain follow-up, which means you can attack twice in the round, and that's for the entire battle. So our Reaper's already being a very good unit. Getting follow-up is kind of crazy, and I've seen some really cool builds with them. So Heartseeker is a very cool one that you should definitely try on any units that you're using. Another tier 1 that I've liked, I've actually not gotten this one yet, but I'm going to be using it soon, is Divide and Conquer. This is going to be damage received when it's maxed out 6% that can stack 5 times. So again, if you're running some kind of tanky troop comp thing here, I'm looking at the Ram Riders, that's just going to make it that much more difficult to take these guys out. So again, the fact that it's an elite 1, that's really solid, is one that I'm going to be trying out very soon. And I think it's going to have some pretty good uses in the game. And last but not least, the next one I'm using is Significant Assault. This is damage dealt plus 30% when attacking a target that is stunned, has madness, or cannot recover HP. So I'm using it on my Witch King, who has a stun in round 1. So just that chance to deal even more damage with the Alchemist, which is exactly what you want, which is why I went into Army Attack 10% here, just trying to nuke the damage as much as possible. But those are 5 skills that I've enjoyed. Again, that's not the NLBL. If I let this skill off like Dispersion or something, it doesn't mean I don't like it. In fact, I'm going to use it on a lot of my Elven troops here very shortly. But just 5 that I've enjoyed if you're looking for some that you'd like to consider using on your commanders. And before we wrap up here, I wanted to show this spreadsheet that I made here. This is going to be linked down below if you want to look at it, especially if you're not in this season and you can't look through all the units. You can at least see them here. Again, there's other people made spreadsheets, but I wanted to put one together myself. Here at the top left, at the very top, the camera's covering it, but it says units here. And we have every single unit listed. And then we have neutral units right here and every single neutral unit. And that's going to show the Elite 1, Elite 2, and all Elite 3 skills. So very simple, but again, if you click on it here, it'll show every maxed value for each of these abilities. So if you wanted to go through here and let's say maybe you saw the shield training ability on the Guardians or the Guards of the Tower, and you thought that was pretty cool, and you wanted to see, hey, how many people have that? I can search and say there's 2, so I can see we got the Guards of the Tower right here, and go to the next one, and I can see that the Guardians have it right there. Same with like Heartseeker, for example. We can see that there are 5 commanders, which is going to be the Raider, the Corsair, the Reaper, the Keeper, and the Seafarer that have Heartseeker. So if you want to do some research and study before your season starts, this is linked down below just as hopefully a resource if you're not in the season and you can't go through and look at all the units like we were just doing a moment ago. But that is a kind of quick summary and overview of elite units to hopefully make it clear how they work, how you get the materials needed to unlock them, some of my favorite skills. But I'd love to hear what you all think below. Do you think this should continue in future seasons? My personal opinion is that I've enjoyed the added complexity, but I know it's not for everyone. So if they continue that, if that became a staple, elite skills became a normal thing as we move forward, I would personally be happy, but I know that's not how everyone feels. So I'd be curious to see, are you hoping this is a one and done thing? Do you want to see this continue? Do you want things added to it or taken away from it? What's been your thought on the elite units? But I've, for the most part, enjoyed them. I think it's allowed some less meta commanders to kind of punch up more. I think it's been kind of friendly for free-to-play players where you don't need to rely on gear as much in your commanders because you have an extra skill on your troops. Now, it does take time to do that, obviously, but I do think it can make up some ground between whales and free-to-play. Even though whales can obviously sell gold and get these faster long term, you can get some good abilities that otherwise you would not have on your units because you don't have the gear to run that. So all in all, I think it's been a win. I'm sure there could be improvements. I'm sure there's going to be some cheesy things that people are still doing that need to be patched. But for the most part, I think it's been good. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you all in a future one.